Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
A long-awaited moment. Tomorrow is the first day of classes for students with Fargo Public Schools. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly asks school leaders to break down the top things you need to know before your child walks into class.
Walking into school with an all-new system and rules can feel overwhelming, trying to remember it all. Fargo School Superintendent Rupak Gandhi says to keep it simple, starting with what you already know.
It's the same things that we share every year, which is please make sure that your students get a good night's rest and that they're well fed in the morning, or they plan to eat breakfast at the school. That's fine as well, but we just make sure that we're doing some of those things as we get back into a routine.
Secondly, prepare for the uncertain. Give yourself extra time for questions or unplanned hiccups.
Make sure you give ample time just for any unique changes that you may see. Students are coming in one of two groups, so there might be less students, but at the same point that people are going to have more questions at the start of this school year.
But before you walk out the door, Dr. Gandhi says the most important part of your back-to-school outfit is your mask. Don't forget to mask up. Also, make sure to review specific instructions from your school's principal. Dr. Gandhi says each student receives information specific to them, like instructions for entering the school. Lastly, Dr. Gandhi says the thing that might throw families off is remembering to keep your distance.
Human interaction and relationships are a big part of teaching and learning, and our teachers want to be as welcoming as we can. But we are asking all of our students and our staff to practice social distancing and stay 6 feet apart when they can.
And one last bonus tip.
Don't be nervous. It's an exciting time to start the school year, and we want to do everything that we can to make sure we provide that best meaningful experience.
In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
If you have more questions about school reentry, we have answers from school leaders on our website and VNL News app. The University of North Dakota is debunking rumors about coronavirus cases on campus. During a virtual student town hall, UND leaders said that they don't plan on transitioning all classes to remote learning. And they say the high cases of COVID-19 did not come from parties at Greek houses. Currently, UND has more than 200 active cases of coronavirus. The university says students should stay on campus this holiday weekend and not return home. Some students expressed concern with enforcement.
The university is doing a good job, and then in certain areas more could be done.
When there's violations that relate to COVID that hit that code of student life, we will pursue those. We'll pursue them aggressively and fairly.
UND administrators say they plan to hold a testing event every week this semester, or at least until a vaccine is available. Let's take a look now at the COVID-19 numbers. In North Dakota, there are 191 new cases, along with 2 new deaths in the state. The death toll is at 145. The active case count is up to 2,245. The positivity rate is 7.66%. In Minnesota, the Department of Health is reporting 502 confirmed cases of COVID-19, along with 6 new deaths linked to the illness. In total, over 1,800 deaths have been attributed to the disease. Over 68,000 people are listed as recovered. The city of Fargo is working with Ryan Companies on a project in North Fargo. Ryan Companies is known for projects across the U.S., including an Amazon center in Arizona. KFGO is reporting the project in Fargo has something to do with Amazon. As of right now, we know it's planned to be an industrial building north of Hector Airport. North Dakota is still trying to recover the $38 million it spent on policing and cleaning up damage following the Dakota Access Pipeline protests, but so far there are no resolutions. According to the Associated Press, the Army Corps of Engineers is encouraging the federal government to make a deal with the state in order to avoid a drawn-out and costly legal battle over who should pay. The request comes a month after a judge denied the federal government's motion to dismiss the state's lawsuit, which is seeking to recover the costs involved in that protest. North Dakota's Democratic Party has chosen a new candidate for insurance commissioner, but whether he ends up on the general election ballot is still undecided. After the state Supreme Court's decision to remove the previous candidate, Travicia Martin, from the ballot due to residency issues, the Democratic Party had less than a week to choose their new candidate, Jason Anderson. They selected him on August 28th, 3 days before the deadline for nominations. But Secretary of State Al Jaeger refused to accept their replacement nominee.
They're saying that she should never have been on the ballot in the first place. And so because of that, you can't now replace her. We think that the voters of North Dakota should have this chance to have another candidate on the ballot.
The party is now challenging the refusal to put Anderson on the ballot and will have their case heard by the state Supreme Court. Initial arguments begin tomorrow morning. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources wants gardeners and anglers to be on the lookout for jumping worms. The earthworm gets its name because of the way it squirms when disturbed. It's invasive to the area and is a threat to gardens and forests because it eats the roots of plants. The DNR says the worms are mainly found in the Twin Cities and Rochester areas. If you come across one, go ahead and contact the DNR. It's been 6 days since Hurricane Laura made landfall in Louisiana, destroying homes and businesses. A North Dakota native says the Category 4 hurricane was nothing like the winter storms he endured as a kid. Julie Martin has more.
Jeffrey Peterson grew up in Mott before moving to Louisiana and settling down in Sulphur, a suburb of Lake Charles. On Thursday, Jeff watched the eye of the hurricane go directly over his home and destroy parts of his business. According to the World Meteorological Organization, Hurricane Laura was the strongest storm ever recorded in the state of Louisiana.
When you have those winds that high, it reminded me of when we'd have some of the blizzards during the wintertime.
Blown off shingles and a broken fence lay in the Petersons' backyard.
The eye of the hurricane came over the house. I mean, it went from about 100 miles an hour down to about nothing within about, let's say, 10 minutes.
At his family-owned business, a metal building frame lays in pieces.
It literally looks like somebody went through with a can opener and peeled back our metal awning.
Its doors will remain closed for months.
I'm not going to be doing that for a while. I'm shut down for a long time.
But as he walks his neighborhood and surveys the damage, he can't help but to feel lucky.
Literally, it was only by God's intervention that we didn't have any major damage, and we're just fortunate that he shielded us for whatever reasons.
In the middle of picking up the pieces of his own life, Peterson is dedicating time to others.
Once we get our areas that are livable, now we're starting to reach out to get to the people that aren't as fortunate as we are.
As of now, Peterson says the area will be without electricity for another 4 to 8 weeks.
Peterson says many of the gas stations and grocery stores have since reopened, but supplies are limited and lines are long. He also said one of the biggest threats is looters who are coming into town and trying to steal items from damaged homes. Peterson says the state is in need of carpenters and contractors who are willing to help the cities rebuild.